one-stop shop for great wrestling. It's the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Ray Russell brings a host of great shows right to your device. There's the Wrestling Memory Grenade, Regional Wrestling, The Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, The Amazing Puro Academy Show, Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Dave Dynasty's long-running hit, Wrestling Nostalgia, Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, the hilarious Other Ship podcast, and a whole lot more. Great shows and great guests, but where do you find all this stuff? Really simple. Try logging on to WrestleCopia.com. As I like to say, it's your one-stop shop for great wrestling memories. Welcome to the brand spanking new edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. That's it. Bob told me not to do any jokes anymore. He said my jokes are corny and stale. I got a great joke for you. When Sally opened the refrigerator door, what did the mayonnaise say? The mayonnaise said, "Shut the door, I'm dressing." Oh, that's my all-time favorite joke. That and the one about the tree. It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Oh, Beau James is on the show, too. We're going to go down south, y'all. We're going down south to Tennessee. And I love Tennessee. How are you doing? My name is Bob Smith. I used to be with Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all those wrestling magazines all those years ago. But now I'm the host of the Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast. How are you today? Welcome back. Here's our co-host, who for some reason in our digital studio box simply put the name Joe. Are you feeling okay? It's Joe Puccio. Are you feeling all right? Because you usually give me some kind of a joke name, like, dirigible or something, and I'm trying to figure out why you're just plain Joe today.
I just decided to switch things up today, Bob. No other reason than that. I love the state of Tennessee, too. My wife and I have been there, the big cities. We've seen Memphis, seen Nashville, love them both for different reasons. They're both very different cities. But I'd love to go back. Got off the plane, and who's in the airport? But the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. He was there, and I spotted him, and I, of course, went right up to him and talking, and my wife is like, "Who the hell are you talking to?" She had no clue who he was, and it was great.
Memphis is the site of two of my favorite moments in show business. First of all, I hung out with Lawler and those wonderful people in 1991. Well, about, I guess, 3 or 4 years later, I get booked at the B.B. King Club on Beale Street, opening for Coco Taylor. No way I turned that down. No way would I turn down a gig offer like that. So I set it up, and I guess we flew in. I drove in and everybody else flew. That's right. I had this really bad habit of driving across the country and letting the band fly because it was like they were going to play better, find them hotel rooms and whatnot.
Yeah.
That was another hilarious story about Memphis, too. By the way, all you amphibians out there, is the Admiral Benbow still open? The worst motel I've ever seen in my life. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I know the wrestlers know the Admiral Benbow. That's for sure. But anyway, so we opened for Coco Taylor, and I also saw Jerry Lawler that weekend as just a friendly visit, and I invited him to the show, but he didn't show. It's sad but great about that. He can't just go to a club and sit down. He was so popular in Memphis. If Jerry Lawler walked in with Stacey Carter at that point, they would have been mobbed. It would have been a zoo.
Right.
When they sneak out to places, they literally have to sit up in a cubby hole or something like that so they're not seen. Because they were so famous, they'd be mobbed by the fans. So anyway, it was a wonderful show. Coco was great. BB Kings. I played in 3 different BB King clubs in this land of ours. I played Nashville, Memphis, and New York City. Oh, I'm probably boring people with my old music stuff here, but anyway, we're talking about venues. And the main thing about this show is when I was talking to Beau James, our guest, by the way, who, is still running Southern States Wrestling in Tennessee, and found out he's been doing it for 38 years. 38 consecutive years. That's amazing. That's absolutely astounding. So it got me to thinking about other organizations that were around for a long time that I either knew about or frequented or wanted to look up how long they stuck around. I have a little list here. Some of them were around for a lot longer than I thought, and others were here for just a short time, but still made an impact on the wrestling world. So I'm going to look back at a lot of these organizations. Like, first off on my list here, remember Mario Savoldi, right? It was the ICW, which confused a lot of people because there was also the Memphis ICW, the Tennessee ICW. But he actually began ICW in '84, and it ran primarily on the East Coast through 1995. That's 11 years. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. He and his family had worked for the what I'll call the WWE, before starting out on their own. And I think he did kind of with the blessing of McMahon. Really, they didn't hassle him about stuff as far as I know. I thought they always had a good working relationship. You'd see a lot of guys between contracts come into the IWCCW, like Tony Atlas was there, Greg Valentine, Nikolai Volkov, those kind of wrestlers who would invariably headline, and then you have younger people underneath. I just wanted to look that up because, it felt like they were around forever, or at
Yeah.
least they were a big part of the scene when I was with PWI. Did you watch that show?
I didn't. I have to admit, I'm not that familiar. I know of it, but I haven't seen too much of the footage. But
Really?
not too much of it. No, I mean, but you're saying so it was around they were around for 11 years.
11 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
primarily around our area too. I remember they
yeah.
were taping in Brooklyn for a while. They would do shows in the Catskills and tape those for broadcast. In
Did
fact,
they?
I wanna tell the fans right now, we're gonna have Brian Webster on the show. Brian Webster was the lead announcer that I used to do color with from time to time, and for years since I started this podcast, I'm trying to get Brian on the show, and he's agreed to come on, and I couldn't be happier because he's a great guy, and he thought he was really, really good in the booth. So we'll get behind the whole history of ICW and IWCCW there. And did you know what IWCCW stood for? I'll explain this. Did you know that when World Class went down, Kevin Von Erich, and don't ask me how the business deal went, but reached an agreement with Mario Savoldi to merge World Class and IWCCW together to create IWCCW. Frankly, the only merger in talent was Kevin. And he wrestled a couple of spots, and then he went away, and that's the last we ever heard of anything about the merger. But there was a segment on television with Mario Savoldi and Kevin going, "This is a new day for World Class," and all this other stuff. And basically, it was the same thing with a different name on it. But the Savoldis got to use that cool theme song. Remember the theme song?
Yeah.
Bum, da, da, ba, bum. That became the theme song for the IWCCW shows for the
Uh,
last few years when they were on. So
no,
you didn't know any of that, did you?
I did not know that. No, you scooped me there for sure.
Now, I'm also looking at I'm going to call it the Jarrett Promotions. Because, Jarrett was working with Nick Goulas for a long time. And I'm just talking about the stuff that Jarrett kind of did himself. What a promoter he was on his own. CWA, USWA, 77 and 97, that's 20 years. And they were the last of the Mohegans, like I always say. They lasted as a territory longer than anybody else I can think of that was running because it was good.
Mhm.
Nothing like that Saturday morning TV show and nothing like Memphis wrestling, that hard-hitting style, and it's to their credit. You go on YouTube now, there's tons of Memphis. Did you ever look at that?
Oh, yeah, that I do. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was one of the greatest. They put out some of the best content, the best stuff during those years. And there's, like you said, there's tons of stuff that you could find on YouTube. You really
Yeah.
go down a rabbit hole when you get to one match, and then, it just keeps going and going, and you don't stop. But love that stuff. Love the old Memphis stuff.
And here's an amazing thing. I also subscribe to the Mario Savoldi
Right.
tape library, which is,
Right.
You can get it on, I think it's called the Savmar Wrestling. You can find it. Just type in Savoldi Video Library in your browser. You can find out all the information about it if you're listening out there. But I just watched a match, which was Billy Joe Travis versus Jeff Jarrett from the very, very late period when Jarrett was promoting Texas. They were calling it USWA there at that point. It was the hardest hitting, most violent, unbelievable Memphis style brawl just in the middle of a TV show. And I'm thinking, this is so good. I honestly, Billy Joe Travis had the guitar at that point and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, this was really a hard hitting, serious brawl. And other guys flew in the ring. I think Kerry came in to break it up at the end. I sat back and I went, this really entertained me. And this was in the fading moments of his, Jarrett promotion down there. But still, there's something about that style and flavor of wrestling that was just unmatched anywhere else. There were other real action-packed organizations, don't get me wrong, but the Memphis style, to me, it never goes out of style.
Yeah, Memphis was really known for those hard-hitting brawls, and they were doing it just as well or if not better than some of the really major promotions at that time. I mean, I think it was presented in a much more realistic manner. I've always felt it really seemed like these guys were out there killing each other. They were out there brawling, it was like two tough guys really going at it, not very produced. It was just had a realism. I think that's what really sold it to me.
Well, the Jarrett promotion was great at getting the personalities over and the conflict between those personalities. To be honest with you, some of the guys they made stars out of, would Bill Dundee have been a major star anywhere else but Memphis? That's a really good question. But he was a major star in Memphis for decades. And I'm like, you know what? That's a Memphis-style wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. He was tailor-made for that organization for sure.
And so many of the others were too, the guys who kind of worked there, like the Fullers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Of course, that goes back to the Gulas Wells promotion, those guys. And that ran from 1947 to 1980.
Wow.
And, that's Jarrett split off from them around 77 to 80, somewhere in there. Because as rumor has it, Nick Gulas was promoting his son, George Gulas, who I don't know how to put this, wasn't great in the ring. We'll put it that way. It was the ultimate nepotism deal. And
Yeah,
Jarrett
right.
said no, and he left and he went off on his own. But that organization stayed around until 1980. That's a good long time. That was a very similar style to the Jarrett promotion, obviously, because they worked together for years. But to think that organization runs for 33 years, got to hand it to them. That style really worked in that region.
For sure. That's a healthy run. I mean, geez, 33 years. That's actually pretty amazing when you
It
think
is.
about it.
Well, dig this. The St. Louis Wrestling Club, Sam Muchnick, we're going back now as part of the NWA, back when different territories were a part of the NWA. That ran from 1959 to 1985, 46 years. They were responsible for the legendary Wrestling at the Chase TV show, tons of venues in Missouri. I'm hoping I've never figured out how to pronounce the Kyle Auditorium. I think that's how you pronounce it, or the Keel.
I
Either
think
way,
it's
I have
cool.
been
Yeah.
there. I was
Yeah.
been there late in the run, and for an NWA show I remember what it was. I think that's where the Sting versus Black Scorpion finale was. But it was first time in St. Louis, and I saw the Arch, so I was a happy kid. But no, 46 years. And if you've ever seen videotapes of Wrestling at the Chase, I really recommend it. Can you imagine when that show was in the earlier days of television, you'd see people dressed well at tables in the audience having dinner and drinks while watching wrestling.
I know. They had a jacket on, jacket and tie.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, nothing else
unbelievable.
like that.
Man, I would have loved to have been to the Keel Auditorium, seeing some of those shows. That must have been great.
Now, not far from there was the Heart of America Sports Attractions. That's actually what it was called, which is really Central States or the World Wrestling Alliance, WWA. Bob Geigel.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That ran from for different owners, different, leaders, from 1948 to 1989, 41 years. Think of that.
And that's even more impressive that the St. Louis promotion ended in 85, which was when a lot of the territories ended with the WWF's expansion. But that's even more impressive that it lasted till 89, well into the WWF's glory years.
And you know what? We had, I think Mike Moore came on and did a show about Central States, and I needed it. But you know why? Nobody talks about Central States now. And I'm not putting it down for that. It just seems to be one of those organizations that
They're one of
gets
the forgotten promotions, yeah.
mixed in the shuffle, and thought of. And for people from out of town, think of this now. It's been a long time since the territory days. If you didn't see it or hear of it then, you're certainly not going to hear about it now. There's no point of reference for a lot of people for these type of
Right.
things. But for me, I love to look back. And I love to look back at the television, from these old organizations. Now, Jim Crockett Promotions. Most of us knew Jim Crockett Jr. from TBS. But his father founded the promotion, and they promoted it under a bunch of names and in different states. And you can't count it all in a single timeline because there's so many stop starts and changes. But Jim Crockett Promotions started in 1931 and lasted until 1988 in various formations. Incredible. I'll bet you didn't know. Did you see the Ric Flair's last match?
Yes.
Did you know that was produced for you by the newest version of Jim Crockett Promotions, led by Conrad Thompson and David Crockett?
No. The company's name is Jim Crockett
Jim
Promotions still?
Crockett Promotions, yeah. Isn't that something?
That is crazy.
Gonna sound like a fogey, I don't care. I want people who have been involved in the wrestling business a long time to continue to be part of the wrestling business, even if it's their offspring. Nobody's gonna know the business better than the old hands, I'm telling you. It's when the new people get in that things get all mucky. I think it's a better product if the lineage is strong, if that line of the
Yeah.
past to the present is solid. What do you think of that opinion?
Even going a little bit further with some of the offspring of classic wrestlers that are keeping the old stuff alive through social media, through being active, talking to fans. I'm just thinking off the cuff with Harley Race's son.
You know what? I can say that we are legit friends now after seeing him for 2 years
Yeah.
now. He is a tremendous guy, wealth of knowledge, and when
Yeah.
he talks, because I always tell about Kayla Sparks and I having a conversation at a table. He walks up and goes, "How you guys doing?" And we start talking about Harley, and it was probably 45 minutes of
Mhm.
insider stuff that nobody's ever heard before.
Exactly. It's that these sons and daughters of talent, they're not just out there trying to make a dime off their parents' name. They're not just out there saying, yeah, my dad was Harley Race. Yeah, my dad was, the British Bulldog. My dad was Paul Orndorff or things like that. But their kids are out there and they actually have a lot of knowledge. They're out there, they're showing the old footage. They're talking about the psychology. They're talking about what it was like to be the child of a professional wrestler. I love that stuff. I'll follow them on social media, and a lot of the stuff that they post is inside knowledgeable stuff, and it's really great to see. Orndorff's son does that a
Right.
lot. The Dynamite Kid's daughter, who had a lot of great things to say from back in those days, and there's so many people out there.
Paige Sutherland, daughter of Kurt Von Hess, who
Yep,
is a wrestler
Von
that
Hess, yeah,
not many people know of now, but he
yeah.
was a major star in the early '70s, and her memories are so vivid. I have to say this, the offspring of the wrestlers are probably my favorite people to interview because it feels like you're talking to the actual wrestlers themselves. They're that ingrained in it.
And you know who's out there too is Andre's daughter. To be completely honest, I don't know how knowledgeable she is of the business and this and that because I haven't heard too much from her, but I know she's out there. It's a little bit different than what you were talking about. It's important because they're keeping their parents' names alive. A lot of times they take it very seriously, where it's not just a fly-by-night, yeah, I happen to be the son of this person or the daughter of this person. They're actually out there doing their parents justice.
Now, for 14 years, Jim Barnett's Australia's World Championship Wrestling.
Mhm.
You and I talked about this before I hit the record button. Let me tell you something for you fans out there too. I don't care what anybody says. The precursor to hardcore wrestling was this group in the 1970s. It was unbelievable action packed and shockingly violent. I think of what had happened is it was run by Jim Barnett, who worked for every major wrestling organization around the world. He was getting sellouts and stuff like that in the arena that they were running in. But I will say, the TV was giving him a hard time over the violent content. Legend has it that he said, well, if I'm getting canceled, I'm going out in a blaze of glory. And the show got even more violent. You could count on blood. You could count on wild stuff, people hitting each other over the head with stuff. It was definitely a precursor. They had a manager from the South here named Big Bad John, Southern United States, who would go, "This is war," and the announcer would say, "This is war." They would deliver promos, Joe, that were like, "Well, they're just these people must be abolished," and they were literally talking about killing each other, real quotes like that. And when you saw these matches, people thought they were trying to kill each other too. I am serious. It was the most unbridled pro wrestling on the planet for its time. And in case you're wondering who was there, good guy Mark Lewin at that point. King Curtis was a good guy at this place. Bulldog Brower, my favorite, Baron Mikhail Cicluna was a world champion there for a short spell, which I'm always proud of him for that. They had Spiros Arion, who was a local, Abdul the Butcher, like I said, Big Bad John, and local favorites like Mario Milano, George Barnes, Ron Miller, Larry O'Day, and Roy Heffernan, a former Kangaroo. It's just a big stew of unbridled mayhem. If you haven't seen it, it's all over YouTube, guys. Look up World Championship Wrestling or Australian Wrestling. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, I saw this long reel without announcers of matches. There must have been 35, 40 matches, and it just kept going and going and
Wow.
going. So the stuff is available to see. Look up Australia Wrestling. You will not regret it. And all of it is in glorious black and white.
And you said the Fabulous Kangaroos were part of this as well?
Well, no, there's this one guy who became Roy Heffernan became a fabulous
Just
kangaroo,
one
but he was
okay.
well, that was
Uh,
essentially an Australian tag team.
and we touched on it very briefly before we, recorded, but yeah, I admit I have not seen a whole lot of this footage, and I really wanna check this out, and again, these are early to mid-70s, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
don't miss the Bulldog Brower backstage complaining about how somebody hurt his neck.
I'll note that, yeah.
I'm a big Brower fan. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Bulldog. I
Yeah,
mean, just like crazy man look, so
yeah, right.
now you have some organizations that you follow that were around for a long time in the indies. Tell me some of your favorites.
So, I really have one main organization that I followed for many years. And again, with the local flavor, I grew up in Queens, New York, and some of the listeners might be familiar with another ICW. There's a few promotions with those initials, but this one was Impact Championship Wrestling. And it was run by someone who I got friendly with, a gentleman named Jack Ballion, and I think he also had sort of like a wrestling persona. Jack Sabbath was his name in when he was on the show. And I had met him, and then I started getting friendly with him. And he also actually owned, I don't know if he still does, but he owned a wrestling collectibles shop in Queens. It was a good mix of hardcore style and r- good technical wrestling.
What years were we looking at here?
So this was it was different incarnations, but I'm talking like in the 2000s.
I'm thinking part my left side of my brain, I got the devil and angel on my shoulders. One devil is going, that's too new. And the other one's going, that's 25 years ago. Shut up, let him talk. I'm gonna shut up and let you talk.
No, exactly. When I brought this up, I was thinking the same thing because I was like, well, they're not really an old territory like that. But the thing is, yeah, it's 25 years ago, and I mean, they were going strong for several years, and I'll get into what happened to them. It was a ritual every couple of months. A couple of buddies of mine, we'd get the tickets, we'd sit in the front row, back when tickets were affordable, and we'd sit there and we'd have a great time, booing the wrestlers, cheering the wrestlers, guys that you would know like Homicide was a regular, The Amazing Red, who was, in TNA for a while, and he's always been one of my favorites. Stars would come through. They would have mostly local talent, and then they would bring in, like, 1 or 2 stars from WWF, WCW, whatever it was, so they kinda made their money that way. But what happened was they did the shows regularly, and then at some point, there's a wrestler named Danny DeMonto, who you may or may not be familiar with, but he was pretty big on the independent scene. He still is. And he was a regular. What happened at some point was the shows stopped for, I'd say, 6 months. There were no shows. And then there was some type of buyout. And from what I understand, he purchased the company from this Jack and he rebranded it now as ICW No Holds Barred. So some listeners might know this organization. That's literally what they're called, ICW No Holds Barred. And from that point on, I lost complete interest, not only because they pretty much left the New York area and they started as a traveling company and they were on the South and different things, and they're still running shows now. But I saw a lot of the footage on YouTube and they literally became nothing but a hardcore company where they would just death matches and things like that. And I remember seeing footage of this and I was like, this can't be the same company. So whatever happened there, they switched ownership. I don't know, but it's a completely different company there. But I want to say for a good 10, 15 years, they were around. And I'm telling you, they were putting on quality matches. Their main stop in Queens was at the Queensboro Elks Lodge, which everybody knows from the ECW stuff. ECW used to run there all the time. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I used to go there every couple of months with my friends, and it was like a cool thing to do. It was a Saturday. We go to the show, we see a show for a couple hours. Right from there, we go get a couple of drinks at a bar, end the night with something to eat at a local diner, a nice local 24-hour diner, as you know. We'd head home, so it was a lot of fun. But I'm curious. I'm guessing that some of the listeners, especially the local ones in the New York area, would probably be familiar with the organization.
Beats me. I never heard of him.
Yeah,
I never heard of it. I never heard
yeah,
of them.
yeah.
So then again, the period you're talking about is post magazines for me.
Other than that, there was actually one that I did live in New Jersey for a few years. There's an organization called WSU, Women's Superstars. I might be messing this name up. I think it was something about Women's Superstars Unlimited or something to that effect. But it was an all women's organization that was based out of New Jersey that was really, really good. They would do the local bingo halls in New Jersey, all around, mostly northern New Jersey. It was like northern, maybe a little bit of central Jersey, but it was mostly North Jersey. Really, really hard hitting. I saw a lot of great performers like Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong came through there. Mercedes Martinez had some success with the major promotions years later. She was through there. And some of the early ECW people as well, people like Daisy Hayes and those guys, if anybody remembers them. So that was really fun too, to see a promotion that was all women. I know the most popular all women promotion is probably Shimmer, who put out fantastic shows over the years, but this one was more of a local, Other than that, as far as actual companies, it was mostly for me, it was mostly spot shows, growing up.
Yeah, even when I was with the magazines, the spot shows in Long Island, you had Tommy D and
Tommy D. I was going to say he used to do the shows with Jimmy Snuka and the Metal Maniac and all those
right,
guys.
and then you had Sunny Beach was running some shows in Long Island, and a few other promoters too. Some of them were fly by night, others tried to do it more on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I covered a lot of indie shows, man. Especially in Long Island, there was always a show. It seems like every Friday night there was a show someplace. And you know what? Some were good shows, some were ish, but that's independent wrestling. Just a lot of depending on crowd reaction. If you're not getting crowd reaction, it really shows. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like dead silence in some matches. You never want silence. Ask any wrestling promoter. Silence is not golden. And I root for indie wrestling, and I root for good indie wrestling, and I continue to seek out good indie wrestling and praise Create Pro from now until whatever, because I think they do an absolute major league job at churning out amazing talent over and over and over again, and cards that make sense, and everything. Everybody over angles now. Even the indies will represent an angle where it's like there'll be two people in the ring talking for 10 minutes. That's just the way of the world. The wrestling's changed in that regard. But I think Creative Pro has the best old school flavor of what's out there. Because you know what, they're creating professional wrestlers like MJF and Chris Statlander and people like that.
They have a good track record of churning out successful talent, so they're doing something right.
By the way, folks, get on YouTube and look at some of these old promotions. You will not regret it, particularly our age group that listens to this show. I'm telling you, check out that Australian stuff. You will go, wow. You'll go, wow. Like, this is the 70s? Now, I know down south and like in Memphis and stuff, they would have these big bloody brawls, but there was nothing like Australia. I mean, it was like, wow. And it was just the overall tone of it, like Roman gladiators. It was astounding. And the good guys were always the same soft-spoken good guys. Well, this must be stopped. Lewin was great. Lewin was awesome at wanting revenge as a good guy. I can see why he was so over. Lewin was like, oh, if it takes the last breath in my body, I will, just fill in the blank. It was just real serious in tone. We must get these monsters out of Australia. So you got to see it. It's too good.
I will check that out for sure.
Yeah. I hate to say this. I'm not going to probably mention Carvel on the show for a while. I want to lose some tonnage. And I think the first thing to give up, unfortunately, is Carvel ice cream. I'm sorry.
What about Carvel Light?
No, none of it. None of the sugar. I am going on the Mediterranean diet for a while, and I'm going to be grouchy and horrible. But I need to do it. I'll put it this way. Back in 2021, 2020, the pandemic, housebound, right? Now I'm retired now. I can't bring bad food into the house. If I bring in healthy food, in the pandemic, I lost 45 pounds. When people saw me for the first time in 2 years, is that really you? I was getting comments like that.
Yeah.
So now I want to do it again. And I think I've reached the age where I really need to do it again. And, like I said, I just had a physical and went over it with my doctor. Said, yeah, I got to lose some tonnage. So the first thing to go, I'm sorry, it's the Carvel. Am I happy about it? No way. I was becoming like a weekly treat here.
Yeah,
and now I have to be a little bit more serious about my health.
But here's the devil's advocate. This is what I'm saying. Go to Carvel, No one's saying go every week or whatever. Go once a month. Treat yourself to a nice Carver Light. I know you're a vanilla guy. You like your plain vanilla. So go get some plain soft serve Carver Light vanilla. It's very low sugar. And you have a little treat so that you don't really miss it as much.
I will say the Carvel Light is not the full flavor. It's not
You
as
don't think
good
so?
as
I think it's
no,
pretty good, actually.
it's pretty good, but
Yeah.
here's what I could do, and I'm gonna sound like the biggest wimp in the world. Go once a month and get the child size.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That it's probably like 100 calories or something like
Yeah.
that. Because, it's the sugar too, to be honest with you. It's the sugar content. I'm gonna cut down on the sugar.
What's in my fridge and I'm sorry, my freezer right now are 2
Uh-oh.
pints of Ben& and Jerry's ice cream. So I picked up 2. One of them's like peanut butter fudge or something. The other one's like cannoli. Did you ever hear about this cannoli flavored ice cream?
Oh my gosh. That was my favorite flavor of Ben& Jerry's. Cannoli, by far.
I had never even heard of that ice cream.
Oh, it's like a cannoli, but it's ice cream.
Oh, see,
It's got the
it has
crunchiness of a
crunchies,
cannoli, and
yeah.
it has that flavor of a cannoli, and it's you know what? Steps toward heaven, my friends, steps toward heaven. Freaking good. Oh, baby, it's good.
I don't even think my wife knows that it's in the freezer because our freezer's pretty packed right now and it's in the back and I didn't even tell her. So that's gonna be quite a surprise when she moves
You're gonna love
the
it.
frozen broccoli.
But the only one right, that's what I have at home now too. But I will say this much, seriously. The ultimate sinful, over the top, chocolate, absolute delirium in the pint ice cream world is a flavor that a few brands have, and they call it Moose Tracks, where you're
Never heard of
eating
that
it,
one.
and it's dark chocolate ice cream, you're eating it. Oh, there's a peanut butter cup. Oh, oh, there's some
Oh,
nuts.
yeah,
Oh,
I
oh,
love
there's
that.
this
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's that. It's kinda like a Brooklyn slice of pizza in the ice cream world. It's got a little of everything in it. You will just sit back, pat your belly, and go, "I'm glad to be an American." I didn't get a laugh with that one.
No, I was already thinking of the next thing. Look, I know you don't wanna talk about ice cream too much anymore, but let me just ask you this. Is
Right.
ice cream your favorite dessert?
Not even
Would that be
close.
number 1? Not even
Not even
close.
close. Give me a two-layer slice of chocolate cake 10 times
Just
out of 10.
regular chocolate cake?
Chocolate cake is my favorite thing in the world.
Ah,
I never eat it. I never eat chocolate cake, but I love it like nothing else. Chocolate with chocolate frosting, even if it's like a Betty Crocker cake,
oh,
Jackson.
so like a
You
homemade cake even.
mom
Yeah.
made me Betty for my birthdays, Betty Crocker cakes with, chocolate on chocolate. I was the happiest kid in the planet.
I love those homemade cakes. My mother made me a cake every year for my birthday, like a double layer. I loved chocolate icing and vanilla cake. And it
It's
was
good.
2
Yeah,
layers, 2
yeah.
cakes, and
That works.
she just loaded it with the icing. Loved that.
Well, anyway, GenerationXY.com is the entertainment website where you get information you don't get anywhere else. And what do you got on there right now? Tell me what your lead story is right now.
The last couple of stories we did, we have which I might have mentioned last week, we have our Swingers anniversary review.
Swingers, I'll be there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh,
This is
phew.
this is a different type of swingers. This is
Shucks.
the swingers with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn from '96. So it's hitting the anniversary of the year this year, and JC Correa just did a retrospective on that. The Lydia Cornell feature, who is obviously everybody knows from Too Close for Comfort. She was wonderful to talk to, and I'm getting a lot of comments from people in that world. So sound like a real old timer here. I have a couple of interviews in the works with somebody named Michael Learned. I'm not sure if you know who that is, but she was on the Waltons. The other interview that I'm in the process of booking is one Morgan Fairchild, who everybody remembers from 80s soap operas and things like that.
If I had a big air horn, I'd blow it right now. I have to tell you, I don't usually go for Hollywood types. When she was at her height, I was a huge mark for Morgan Fairchild.
Yeah,
Back in the day. Back in the day. Well, anyway, we have a tremendous guest in Beau James, who's been on the show once before. We're glad to have him back. Do what you always do at this time in the show. Count to 9. No, 9.5, actually. And I guarantee you that when you count to 9.5, you'll hear a little jingle and then more talking. Can you believe it? I think it was in the first year of this podcast that I had a very special guest who contacted me, or I contacted him. I don't even remember how we met, but I know this much. He gave me the greatest compliment ever. And the compliment was, I wrote the first two PWI 500s. I think what he told me was because he had made the PWI 500 as a young wrestler, he got bookings from it. And if that's true, I did my job. One of the most famous and infamous wrestlers of all time. He's the king of Kingsport. He has his own podcast called Outlaws Independence with John Boucher. I think he's about a 38-year veteran of pro wrestling. He'll have to straighten me out if I'm right or wrong. He's a real credit to the wrestling business. He's got his own situation going there in Tennessee. Let's get to Tennessee with the great Beau James. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it.
I've been looking forward to this. This is, Bob, my 38th year. Yeah, 38 years.
That's
Getting ready to be 39 involved in wrestling. I've been in the ring. I had 2 years of working behind the scenes for the Continental office and then some independent promotions of promoting towns, running errands, putting the ring up, whatever was needed to be done. I was willing to do it because I wanted in this business. But this is my 36th consecutive year of being in the ring. Even the pandemic year, I was able to get January and February in before the shutdown came. And then in 21, before I had the heart issue, I was able to get some matches in. So I'm still going strong, and people ask me all the time, how do you do it? And I say, it's simple. Just be too stubborn to learn anything else. You can do it.
Well, I'll tell you this, though. I looked into your past a little bit today. I wanted to see some things you've done. Folks, if you haven't heard of Beau, and you probably have and didn't know about it, because I know he worked under a mask at one point, right? And
Yeah.
But listen to the list of people this man has been in the ring with or against. Now, check this out. Ricky Morton, as well as the Rock and Roll Express. You tell me if I'm
Yep.
wrong about any of these. Tracy Smothers,
Yep.
Rick Link,
Yep.
Jimmy Valiant,
Yep.
Manny Fernandez,
Yep.
Bobby Fulton,
Yep.
Christian Cage,
Yep.
the Batten Twins,
Yep.
Steve Carino,
Yep.
Sid Vicious,
Yep.
the Public Enemy Tag Team,
Yep.
Cousin Luke,
Yep.
Tom Pritchard, of course,
Yep.
Bobby Eaton,
Yep.
Dutch Mantell,
Yep.
Tommy Rich,
Yeah.
George South.
Yes.
And folks, the list goes on.
I'm very proud of something that nobody's ever been able to dispute this. I would imagine if there was anybody that could dispute it, it would be Jerry Lawler. And I even asked him one time, and he said, no, I never did. I am the only person to punch Jackie Fargo and AJ Styles. Lawler never worked with AJ.
Yeah,
so
I guess that's right. Yeah.
yeah, so I am that bridge in between generations. I was thinking today, Bob, next month, February, will be 35-year anniversary of my promotion that I started when I was 16 years old.
Tell people the name of that promotion, Southern States, right?
Southern States Wrestling, southernstateswrestling.com. In the early days, I didn't realize that I was a part of the golden era of independent wrestling. We were just trying to survive. Yes, I started with a territory. I worked in Memphis territory, worked for Continental. I thought that would be my life, going back and forth between those two territories, not knowing that everything's going to be closed in, a few years. So I am one of those pioneers of independent wrestling that now it strives. In 2026, you have independents drawing thousands of people. You have them selling out arenas. You have them selling out places. You have them doing this. And a lot of them, it came because of trial and error of me and my generation of what works and what doesn't work and how do you do this and what happens here. And I've been so blessed. The Lord has blessed me. That list that you gave us is a tremendous list. And it's so much longer. I could sit here and talk about all these other people that I've worked with. I'm in the Library of Congress. They interviewed me on the importance of pro wrestling in the Appalachian Mountains. I've been on the CBS Evening News, HBO Vice News, CNN. Bob, here's something a lot of people don't know. Channel 4 in the UK came here in September and followed me around for 3 days doing a documentary about my life.
Really?
And it will be debuting in England. I'm waiting to get the link. I don't know the premiere date, as they keep calling it for me. but they intertwined it in another documentary about politics and wrestling and culture of America. But I am a big part of that, and it's getting ready to come out, and I'm real excited about that. I've had so many doors open up, and it's just because I never quit. Yes, I've been down. Yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've been sick. Yes, hey, when it was time to go to work, I got up and went to work. And this is the only job that I've ever had. All I ever wanted to be as a kid was be a pro wrestler. I never thought about being a TV producer, which I have. I never thought about being a commentator. I never thought about podcast. Of course, we didn't even have podcasting, wasn't even a thought in our minds, all those years ago. I knew I'd be a historian for the boys in the business of, hey, this is when this happened. This is how this happened. But I didn't realize I would be the guy that would write the history books of this part of the world. Now I have an open invitation in Waterloo, Iowa at the Trago Stas Hall of Fame to speak there every year. I spoke last year. I'll be speaking this year. And it's just, I love this business. And I'm a fan of this podcast. I listen to you. I'm a couple weeks behind right now, but I listen, and you still have the greatest theme music of any podcast out there.
Wow, I'm so glad you said that, because I picked that one out of a lineup. It's not my band. I was a musician, but it's not me. But I'll tell you what, I heard this song and I went, "Wow, I like this." I just like it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why at the end of every show, I play the whole thing, because I'm out in
yeah,
my car. I do what I call a post-mortem on every episode. I
yeah,
like to go out of my car, like other people would listen to it and listen to see what it sounds like, if everything went
yeah,
well. And at the end, I just like the song, so
yeah.
I just play the song in its entirety because I think it's a groovy, funky tune.
I love that. And the other thing, no matter how I feel, no matter whatever is on my mind, how busy I am, whatever it is, every week your little opening with the old man yelling at the clouds makes me laugh. I laugh every week at it.
I'm
It
glad.
just,
You know, that character name is Bob 20 minutes from now. And you know why that's his name? Because that's gonna be me 20 minutes from now. "Hey, I can't get up out of bed." That's gonna be me any
yeah,
minute now, so it's like I figured I might as well have a little fun with my aging self and have older me as my own staff
yeah.
announcer.
New in New York, there where you live, I don't know if it's syndicated there, but it's been syndicated here for, gosh, probably 20 years. It's a weekend radio show called Flashback,
I've heard of
and
that, yeah, yeah.
and I like to listen to it because they tell a lot of history. I'm a history buff about everything: baseball, wrestling, sports, music, all. But they now have a character, the old man yelling at the clouds, which
Mhm.
I swear the first time I heard it, I thought it was you.
Really, same thing.
And
Okay.
they've just started doing that character, and it is I listen just for that while I'm out driving around on the weekends or making towns. I'm like, and but it makes me believe somebody from Flashback, maybe Rick St. James himself, is listening to the Outdated Wrestling Hour or the Outdated Entertainment Hour.
You would be surprised. I just got my numbers back for 2025. You'd be surprised at how I had a great year, I'll put it that way. And I'm
Yeah,
hoping to expand it even in 26, but nonetheless, can I talk to you one more time about the indie scene of
yeah,
yours in your region? Only thing I can compare it to, when I was with PWI, I covered 5, 6, 7 states here in the eastern area from Maine
yeah,
down into maybe as far down as Philadelphia, you know what I'm saying? Just every
yeah,
surrounding state of New York City. And back then, the indie scene was usually a couple of aging stars, who were either in between contracts with the big people, and then a bunch of local guys underneath. That was basically what independent wrestling was around here. There
yeah,
weren't very many that didn't rely on, somebody who headlined Madison Square Garden 8 years ago type of thing. But what I'm finding around here in the East, Philadelphia, New York, Brooklyn, go around the area, is there are some organizations who are starting to understand that there's two things that's helping independent wrestling. Number one is the prices of the two major organizations are out of control.
out of
Secondly,
control.
people are hungry for wrestling that is a little different and has a different flavor to it. Wrestling fans have always been that way. Usually when you watch one organization, you want to watch more than one. I know I was that way. When I was writing for Peter Wright, that's how I got to know who you were in the first place. I was
Yeah,
watching and hearing about stuff all over the country. And I enjoyed all of it, virtually all of it. So my question for you is, you're seen out there. Do you think the fact that you've been around for so long has helped you gain a loyal fan base? Because you know what? I think indie wrestling is as hot right now as it's ever been in my lifetime.
There was a time pre-pandemic. Let's back up to where people started to look at the Rock and Roll Express or Jimmy Valiant or those guys that had been around forever, and they were like, "Oh, it's sad. Oh, look at these guys. They're still doing this because they have to." Well, they weren't. They were doing it because they love to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ricky still loves it. I mean, he's still motivated like nobody you know. And handsome Jimmy's still motivated to make towns. He don't want to get near the ring, but
Right,
he's
right.
still motivated to make appearances. And somewhere during that break of pandemic time, people started to miss them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of in that boat on the independent scene because I had been around so long that people were like, "Oh, he's so old." People think I'm way older than I am. I'll be 52 in July, but I've been in the ring since I was 15. I've been on TV or streaming somewhere since I was 16 years old. So people come up to me all the time and they're like, "I grew up watching you," and I'm like, "We're the same age." You know, it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
but yes, now I have been around so long that I have found this out in the last year and a half, I would say. People are bringing their kids.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that I hate, because I was a heel all through my 20s and half of my 30s. Oh, I hated this man. He was the meanest man. Now look at him. Meet him. Always got books. Always did this. Always did that. And I've also found out, crazy story here. Went to Waterloo to speak last year. There were 7 different people that drove hundreds of miles to Waterloo, Iowa, because they listened to my podcast and they wanted to meet me. And that blew my mind. And of course, I pointed out to, "Hey, tell Chad Olson over there, the guy, that booked me to do this. Make sure he knows." But at Thanksgiving, Will Tricity, a man that lives outside of Sydney, Australia, flew to the States, flew to New York, rode a train to Richmond, Virginia, rented a car, drove to Kingsport to meet me. And that blows my mind. And I made sure to give him time and whatever he wanted, because I'm not going over there to meet somebody, Bob,
Yeah,
much
yeah.
less going halfway around the world,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
or all the way around the world. And I've now became like an ambassador to independent wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
because I am one of the pioneers. I'm one of the first full-time independent promoters, one of the first full-time independent promotions where guys could count in the 90s. I mean, pick up a PWI and look through the ratings and the results. You're going to see us everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting as much coverage as any major promotion at one point in time, because we were running every week, and most weeks 2 or 3 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
And, and we did a lot of work, and it's slowed down. My goal this year is to run 35 towns for the 35th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on that now. There's already 15 booked. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll add 20 to the summer schedule with fairs and festivals. But it's also, I hate that when the word is deserved, and I will use it to people that get it, I get the word legend thrown at me all the time. I don't consider myself to be a legend. I don't consider myself to be a Handsome Jimmy or a Rock and Roll or a Sid Vicious or a Jerry Lawler. I am a guy from a little bitty mountain community that got to grow up and live his dream and work with his heroes and be in magazines and be on TV and do all this stuff. And now I'm a guy, as a young man, I surrounded myself with veterans to learn. As this point in life now, I surround myself with young talent to teach. And I had a kid who had 8 WWE bookings last year. I've got a kid going in February for the first time to do work for WWE. I have had 2 kids get tryouts and get looked at. I've had NWA kids. I've had all this stuff. I've had in the last couple of years, Jerry Lynn came to one of my towns, AEW producer, and sat ringside. Wasn't asked to come. Glad he did come, but he came on his own accord because he wanted to see what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I take pride in that, and I take pride in the young talent we're doing and using and teaching and molding. But here's the part that you will love and people of our fandom will love. It's the old-time storytelling with modern matches. Every week of our streaming program that you can watch at southernstateswrestling.com or on YouTube, we continue stories, and we keep telling stories. We don't get off track. Sometimes people say it's not working. I said, give it time. They will get with it. And some of the stuff we do, they get with it right now. But it's very key for these young wrestlers to know it's the storytelling. Yes, anybody can, no, not anybody, but a lot of people can dive and flip and do all the moves and all the excitement. But that's the circus. Circus comes to town once a year. We're in this market 12 to 14 times a year. So we have to keep them coming back. And it's the story that keeps people watching TV every week or coming back every month or whatever you need to do. And to me, that's the biggest thing missing from the independents, because most independents run once or twice a month, and it's just, let's gather and have matches and hope people like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still of that thought process, and I'm still a creative person. I have great assistants. Scott Sterling, who wrestled with me for many years. Scott and I started the same time. He's my assistant booker. My nephew, Jake, that grew up in the wrestling business, is always throwing ideas. How about this for that guy? How about this for her? And we just take it and we make it work. And we're the only independent promotion that I know that has seasoned veterans that worked with lots of name talent and stars and worked at a lot of places that are actually agents in the matches, in the dressing room. I have agents to teach and mold and learn our young people. I don't know any other independent that does that other than Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, which I helped create about 10 years ago with a friend of mine, and I'm there with a couple others doing it there. But that's our goal. Most people's goal in wrestling is it's so selfish. It's such a selfish business. I want this. I want that. I want it to continue forever.
Mm-hmm.
Our 35th anniversary is coming up. At our 45th anniversary, my nephew Waylon, and if you follow me on social media, you see Waylon all the time. If you're at the matches, you see Waylon all the time. Bob, he'll be 9 years old in March. He sits at the producer's table watching. He actually keeps the run sheet for the TV times and keeps time at 8 years old and rings the bell.
Wow.
He starts the night off he goes to the ring with me. We'll welcome people. This is the family business. Here's Waylon. Everybody, my little niece Aubrey, she's there sometimes. I'll bring her out, and this is our business. And right before the main event, Waylon takes the microphone and says, "Are you ready to rumble?" And gets the big pop. But he is there learning. So at the 45th anniversary, he will be just shy of his 19th birthday, and everything will be his. Because at 45 years of running this, I'll be done. I will be burnt. There will not be anything left.
Talking about kids has led to a question in my mind. You know your audience, right? You see who's coming through the door. Do you adjust your product to that audience? Like, nothing too violent, nothing too sexual, no dirty words. Are you cognizant of the fact that you have young people, older people, and families coming in?
Yeah, and that has been from day one. You will love this, Bob. You will understand this when I say this. I miss grannies with their pocketbooks at ringside.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. You don't even have to say anything else. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I miss old men with pocket knives at ringside. And I miss families in the building. And I still draw a family crowd. there's still grandmas and grandpas that come. Now, the problem is, Bob, those grandmas and grandpas are my age and have been watching us for years, and they're bringing their kids, but I love it. There is a couple of families that come every time that now are 2 and 3 generations that have watching my product and my family's work all these years. We recently brought the chisel back that Ron Wright made famous. You know, it's the knuckle duster with the blade on it, punched the guy, and instantly there's blood. And Murphy Costigan, my top heel, I wrestle maybe 3 times a year on my own events because I'm not the focus anymore. But going into the 35th anniversary, I wanted to work a program with somebody. So I've had this ongoing thing with him on and off for 3 or 4 years now. So right before he hit me with it, I knew blood was coming and it was coming hard. And there's kids ringside, and I kind of thought, oh, maybe we should not do this. But it was too late. And we did it. The house doubled the next month.
Really?
And I split his eye open with my fist, the old hard way. And it doubled again. So it's violence, but it is a controlled violence where it's not too far over the line. It's a double-edged sword because you can pass that at any time where people's like, I'm not bringing my kids to this.
Exactly right.
And luckily we have been able to stay in that. Now, the last time, the Christmas event, there was no blood, but Murphy hit me in the throat with a chain to get the win. And we actually had parents send messages going, hey, we're upset there was no blood this time.
Wow. Well, you know what? You know what, though? I think you'll agree with me on this, right? Now, I go back to 1970, my fandom was when I started watching. Now, if you looked at the wrestling magazines of that era, it looked like they were splitting each other open in every match. It looked like, you know, every page of wrestling magazine had blood, 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 blood. Mistake on their part, but that's another thing. But the thing is this, blood needs to be used judiciously. It needs to be, you could do 3 cards in a row without it, and if you do a 4th one with it, people go, whoa. And if you do it in each match, like some of these crazy hardcore federations do, it loses its effect by match 3. Because everybody's bleeding. So it's not special. Nobody's getting hurt. So what's the difference? And that's why I think you'd agree with me. Blood needs to be used judiciously. As it's something special that happens during a card. And for the health of the wrestlers, too, to be honest with you. You don't want to juice up the whole ring every match you have, you know?
That was the reason that I went for it in October, and then in November, I wanted that shock value. The other people, there's other groups that run the same area that I see, and I see pictures and stuff online, and guys just bloody, or that all has lost its effect to where the way that we did the thing, and he sucker punched me with that, that's real. That no good SOB. He shouldn't have hit him because the thing was he had pile drive the kid, and we had to come out to help the kid, and they went after him again, and I got in the ring and stopped it, and then boom, turn around and bam, there it is. And I got punished for, no good deed is unpunished, and I got punished for it. So it set that up it made him an even bigger heel, made me an even bigger baby face, but it also made people go, I was there the night they really got mad, and he sucker punched him in the face, and, he bled. And that's reliving our fandom of growing. I started in the late 70s as a fan, as a kid. I started going to the matches in 1982. I didn't go for an entertainment value. I didn't see it. I saw it as a sport. I did not see it as an entertainment. I went to see gladiators fight to the death. That was my draw, and then got into the storytelling of it and understanding that, of what this is. And that list of names you went through there that I have worked with, those are all people I learned from, and huge stars who would take time to teach me something and show me something and learn this. And I got to ride as a young man. I used to drive Handsome Jimmy Valiant around and listen to him and learn from him. When I was in my early 20s, I was riding with Bill Dundee, the master of finishes. Bill could give you a finish that's 15 minutes long, and you better get it right. And I would dissect them with him and watch him create them. And he would say to me, "You create something, book something, mate. But here's the deal. You can't be in it." And I'll never forget the first time that I gave him something in the car. And that Saturday, I'm standing at the monitor at Channel 5 in Memphis, and holy crap, they're doing my angle. There it is. And I got credit for it. It was his idea, and I'm the last guy that's really out here that got to work with those guys. Chris Michaels from Kentucky. Chris is a great hand, great guy. Me and him are about the same age, started. Chris is in that boat, but there's not many of us left that actually still go and are still out there and still hustling and still moving forward. And I was taught, Bob, from the very beginning, longevity. Old timers taught me, hey, this is your life. This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Don't hurt yourself. Don't beat yourself up too bad. Don't cripple yourself. I'm banged up. I'm beat up, but I'm still blessed. I mean, I can still get out there and have a match. I can still go to towns. I can still do whatever. And the other thing that they always taught me was respect the business, because the business can go on without you. You can't go on without it. And it's just the conversation we had off air about musicians and wrestlers. The ones that think they're the biggest stars are the ones that never make it.
That's right.
Because
I can vouch for that. Yep.
They don't respect the business that they have been blessed to be a part of. And they don't take it as serious as they should. I probably take it too serious. I take it to extremes in some cases, because I still hold to the roots that were taught to me. Never miss a town, no matter what. You don't ever miss a town. And I can say this proudly, Bob. In 38 years, I have missed 3 towns. And they were all because I just could not get there because of snow or whatever. I've wrestled hurt. I've wrestled sick. I've made appearances. No matter what, if I'm booked, I am there. Young guys now will quit because they got a hangnail, or they don't feel well, or their belly hurts, or their wife simply says, "You're not going tonight." In my second book, I have a whole chapter. I book you, not your wife, because it's changed. But I'm still, when that bell rings, I'm still excited every night. I'm still, my favorite thing to do still all these years later is when the people are lined up at the door waiting for the doors open to get in. I like to find somewhere where they don't see me and I can listen. And if I can hear them in line talking about, I can't wait for Marty Clay to get even with Murphy Costigan tonight. Or I can't wait to see Judy Lee Taylor wrestle this big mouth girl that's been talking about her. And I know right then, they've bit. They're with the program, what we're doing, and they're paying attention. And it makes me even more creative of what I can do with these people. The biggest problem I have now is getting young talent to trust me, because they all come into wrestling going, one, I know my worth. Well, here's the thing. You have no worth when you first start. You have no worth till you prove yourself that you can draw and can do your job correctly. Number 2, they all have this character that they believe they are.
Yeah. No, there is not a superstar wrestler working any of the big organizations today who are now who they were then.
Right.
None of them.
Right.
Nobody gets their gimmick pushed point A, point B, point C, point D. Things evolve, things change. And sometimes promoter go, we like you, we don't like your gimmick. You know that better than anybody.
Yeah. And here's an idea. I have a guy right now that he started working for me last year. I've known him for several years. He's been wrestling for years. And he's tried to get booked. I never really had a spot for him. But one day me and Scott Sterling are talking, and one of us had an idea, and then the other one threw something, and it went back and forth, and it was like, we know the guy. So we get him.
Right.
Hey, you want to start working? We can give you this many dates a year, this many, but you have to trust us. We're not making fun of you, but we're going to get you so much heat and get you over like you've never been over in your 15 years before. And that's happened. Because in the first few times, he was very leery. He thought and the gimmick is, I'm the best looking man in America. And he's not. God love him.
Right, right, right. Well, there's that beautiful reverse psychology with that kind of a thing. You remember Rip
Yeah.
Hawk? He used to
Yeah.
call himself the profile.
The profile.
In no way did he deserve that. He was a kind of a heavy-set guy. There was nothing special about the way he looked other than the bleach blonde hair, right? Am I right?
Yeah, right.
The fact that he thought he was the profile is what made the fans go, boo.
Yeah.
That's the psychology. That's how it works.
That's what I explained to you. I said, here, before that bell ever rings, they're going to want you to get beat up so bad. So I wrote the first couple of introductions and I just borrowed from everybody and everything, from Billy Graham, from Dusty Rhodes, from Eddie Gilbert, he's the women's pet and the men's regret. He's every woman's fantasy and every man's nightmare. He's twisted steel and sex appeal. He's the man of the hour, too sweet to be signed. And I just started using different lines for the introduction. Well, my friend and my ring announcer, who's also a pastor, Donnie Brandon, lifelong wrestling fan like us, he starts adding to the introductions. And it just before we even introduced the baby face, this guy has so much heat because people are like, look at this guy. But he does the introduction, he does the pose, the profile, and people are like, you're ugly. So he has that heat, and just this last taping, Donnie's doing the introductions, but before every match with Jeff Klepper's the wrestler, he'll say, Mr. Klepper, do you really want me to read this? And Jeff hands him the introduction when he gets in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, you do it right now. So then he will start reading what we have came up with. And it's different every match. His introduction is different other than he is the most handsome man ever to step foot in whatever town we're in. And now Donnie added the other night, he said, before I make this introduction, I must let everyone know the views of this introduction do not necessarily reflect the employees of Southern States Wrestling, the concession workers, the National Guard, Army, the blah, 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 and including the ring announcer. And then he went into the spiel. It's got to where the introduction now itself is 2.5, 3 minutes long. And after that, honestly, nothing else matters.
Yep, it's true. Well, take that, look at a guy like Larry Zbyszko back in the 80s when he turned heel. He would stall, argue with the referee, the other guy would get in, he'd step out of the ring, he would stall for 6 minutes, and by the time he walked in the ring, all the fans wanted to kill him just for holding up the action.
Yes.
That subtle thing. There's nothing going on, but everything was going on. You know what I'm saying? That is the type of psychology that just makes me go, this is the best. This is the way to do this. You don't need to hit a guy over the head with a shovel to get heat.
Two very key points, young in my career, young in my life, about two wonderful special parts of my life. Bill Dundee, wrestling Bill Dundee in some spot town. And I'm a young guy, and I've been in the ring for a few years, but I'm still a young guy, and I'm still learning. But I'm in the ring now with a master. And we do whatever to start the heat, and I grab the hold, and he lays down. So we're laying there on the mat. And me being young, thinking, oh, we got to keep moving, we got to keep doing, we got to keep going, we got to keep going. I said, how about this? And he goes, shut up. And it seems like we're laying there forever, but maybe 45 seconds, a minute. And I said, what about this? Shut up. So I'm about to go into panic mode of what is happening here. And from way far in the top of this high school gymnasium, someone started clapping and stomping their feet. And it wave effect. It came down the bleachers to the floor and across the gym floor to the bleachers on the other side. And he goes to one knee and they get even louder. And he comes to his feet and they're even louder. And he turns to this side. And we went right around the ring, a step at a time. And when we got to the fourth side, he goes, "Get my hair." I grabbed his hair and we went right back to the mat. And we jerked the rug out from underneath the people.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, I watched hundreds of people in this gym sit down and shut up at an instant in sequence together. Bam, shut up. And he goes, "See, kid, if you lay here long enough, they get with it. Slow down and let it breathe." I always been here. I teach that all the time. Let it breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Second time, around the same time, I'm working a match with the Rock and Roll. And some guy in the front row keeps yelling for the double drop kick. And when they're in the ring, he's yelling just for a single drop kick. And he won't shut up about it. And I got Ricky Morton, and we do a little high spot, and I comes up, he's got my arm, and I said, "Hey, how about duck this and drop kick me?" And Ricky says, "Absolutely not. They're the fans. We are the wrestlers. We manipulate them. They do not manipulate us."
You know what? You know how many people get that backwards now?
Yeah.
Even the big groups.
Yeah.
People let the internet comments from people affect how they promote. You should never do that. It shouldn't work that way.
You're right.
Professionals who've been growing up in the business, who are still in it, who become the bookers, become the agents and whatnot, let them make the decisions. Don't have some chant somewhere determine how you're going to run a match. To me, that makes no sense. The fans are not the entertainment. The wrestlers are.
Yeah, but here's a big problem that we see today. And people, I've heard wrestlers sitting in the dressing room complaining that podcast and social media, they've all killed the business. No, what they think it's killed the business because it's opened it up. It's been open now since when did Vince go in front of the Senate in New Jersey or whatever?
Yeah,
That was
91. 91. Yeah.
So for 35 years, it ain't hurt nothing.
No,
Now I still held on and I still don't tell everything, and we still don't let everything out there. The problem is, it's not that it's open, it's not that you and I can have a conversation about it. It is these young guys and young girls they don't work for the people that's paying their hard-earned money to see them. They work for the other wrestlers in the dressing room. They're not necessarily interested in dollars. They're interested in likes, hearts, hugs on their social media.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be a real heel. Now, there's exceptions to that rule because there's some real heels out there on the independents right now. Murphy Costigan, one of my kids, he comes to mind because you do not see him outside the dressing room. You do not see him at the gimmick table. You do not see him until he walks to that ring and he gets a reaction. And he knows how to manipulate a crowd because he's been an investment that several people, including myself, have put in him to teach. But he doesn't care if he gets likes and hearts. He cares, was the match good for the people that paid their money to see it? I hate when people come back from the ring and go, "Did you see that?" Not, "Hey, what could I do to get better?" or "What did I not get right?" "Hey, did you see that?" They just want one person to tell them, "Oh, you did a great job." And it's not the person paying the money. It's the person they rode in the car with. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Where they should worry more about the paying customer.
There's a female wrestler I read about online somewhere, and she was with one of the big companies. And her attitude was, this is a quote, it's kind of a paraphrase. "I got into this business to be a TV star, and they didn't have me on TV enough." No, you should learn to be a wrestler. Learn to wrestle, and then they'll put you on wrestling TV. How's that sound?
That is a big issue now. But people look at wrestling as they think it's easy for some reason, Bob. I don't know why they think it, because everything in the wrestling profession is unnatural to your body. Falling down is unnatural. Being thrown down is unnatural. Letting blood flow from your body is unnatural. Everything hurts. Is it predetermined? Yes. But if I pick you up and slam you, you're hitting the ground. Mm-hmm. If I hip toss you, arm drag you, God forbid something happens or you blow a knee or a shoulder out or you hit the ropes and they break and you go head first on the ground. But they think it's easy, and I'll go do this for a little bit and then I will get to do that. And I hear this word all the time. I want to be an influencer. I want someone to look up to me. I said, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you something, young man, young lady. In my life, in this business, I've been in 7 riots. I've been shot at 3 times. I've had over 24 people try to stab me. I wasn't trying to influence anybody other than my bank account. And to do that, I had to be a very mean person in the ring. And I had to keep that persona outside of the ring in the public eye. Now, take me home, I'm very different with my family. They're the ones I'm trying to help and take care of and love. And to do that, I have to be the meanest person I possibly can be. I can't go be this mean person and then here I am on Facebook begging you for your likes, your hearts, and your attention and try to tell you that how you should eat or what shows you should watch or what you should do or whatever.
It's still athletics. Ask a football player, ask a basketball player, even ask a baseball player, a hockey player. Pro wrestlers are some of the finest athletes on the planet because to be able to do what they do and not kill each other in the interim is actual unbelievable athleticism, really. And it has more to do than jumping or slamming. I don't know how they all walk after 5 years as wrestlers, to be honest with you. Am I right or wrong?
Here is another big difference of yesterday and today. And this is not me yelling at the clouds. This is me hopefully telling any young person inspiring to do this, how to be safe in doing it. But here's a problem. When I got in the business, Bob, we made it look as real as possible. And very few people were touching their opponents. Their punches were so believable. Their kicks were so believable, but there was no contact or very light contact. Young people now say, well, I hit you hard in a safe place. Oh, really? Let me point out to you that Jerry Lawler had a heart attack on Raw because the match before he had the heart attack where he was in the ring, the guy was elbowing him in the chest, a quote unquote safe place, like 12 different times while he had him on the mat. Now they hit each other and nobody believes it. And you try to work with young guys and you grab a hold of them, Bob, it's like moving a refrigerator. Right. I find myself all the time saying this in the ring. Would you please work with me? They don't understand that art of what it is. They don't understand the art of what is going on. I helped on a movie project this past summer for a motion picture. The documentary people from the United Kingdom also did this to me in September. They had me throw my punches on camera to a trusted member of their staff who could say yes or no whether I was tagging them. They then ran it back and ran it in slow motion, trying to see through my punch, and they could not. HBO Vice did the same thing a few years ago when they came and did a story on me. I threw the Tennessee punch and made the noise, and the reporter from HBO Vice screamed because she thought I had punched the other person in the face. Now, Bob, they punch you in the face.
And, I hate to say this, but there's a couple of the most lauded, I'm not going to mention a company, but it's not the WWE. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But it's a big company. And it almost, a few of those guys there's no doubt in my mind that their psychology is, let's work so hard that everything is real. Let's really smack each other. Let's really slam each other. Let's really do this. And I think it's number one. I think it's idiotic, and all for a pop, as they say, all for one pop, 4 minutes
Yeah,
into a match or something like that. To me, it's too much. It's just too much. And now, thank goodness for. Did you see what William Regal put on social
I
media
did.
3 weeks ago? And
I
it's
did.
spreading. I've had a conversation online with Matt Hardy too, and a lot of the veterans are going, "He's absolutely right. There's no excuse for it. We got to be smarter than this." What do you think about that?
One of one of the knocks the haters have liked to use against me over the years is he doesn't take bumps. And I've always been very limited on taking bumps. I will take certain bumps at certain times when it means something. Now I'm a middle-aged man. It's going to take a lot to get me to go down. I'm Dick the Bruiser. I'm the world's most dangerous wrestler.
There you
We're
go.
just going to fight. But as a young man, I took a lot of bumps, arm drags, hip toss, drop kick me through the ropes on, and I have it all on video. And I watch it sometimes, and I go, man, I wish I could do that now. But I started in the ring at 15. At 27, I got out of bed one day and said, my God, what has happened to me? Because I was having trouble getting up. And Handsome Jimmy Valiant told me a very wise piece of advice when I was a young man. He said, at 50, you better be able to have the same match you had at 30. Because if you can't, then you're just a washed up old man. And I was getting close to 30 at that time when he said that to me. And I said, yeah, because longevity, this is my life. This is what I'm going to do. So I cut it down to I will do this and that. But saying all that, I've had 2 back surgeries. I have neck problems. And I have not taken nearly the bumps that some of these young people take. And I travel, Bob. I travel with a lot of young wrestlers. And I ask them all the time in the car, how do you feel? Does your back hurt? Your neck hurt? Your shoulder hurt? Does this hurt? Does that hurt? And I hit him with a line that Bill Dundee gave me when I was about 35 years old when he said, how's your knees, mate? I said, they hurt. And he goes, they get worse.
Mhm. Yeah.
It gets worse. And I see these young guys and these young girls, and I'm like, please don't cripple yourself, because the actual chance of you making WWE or AEW or wherever is very slim, very slim. So, yes, it's the journey of getting there. It's the journey of that. But enjoy that journey, but also be able to remember it, because here's something else that many of us never thought of was concussions.
Mhm.
We never thought about I mean, oh, he got his bell rung. We didn't realize that was a concussion.
Right.
Oh, he got a little stinger. Oh, he got a little bit. A stinger is a spinal injury. we, we didn't get that, but now we know so much more about it. I've had some concussions. There's mornings that I get up that I feel like I've had a concussion. And I tell these young guys, protect your bodies, protect yourself at all times, because your body can only take so much. You only have so many bumps. You only have so many shots to the head. You only have so much you can take. And your body will tell you when you get to that number. And it will tell you right then, it will say to you, you're done. You don't have anything to fall back on. Now, you're either wacko in the head or you're crippled up. You have no way to go make a living, because you've never bothered to learn other aspects of the business. Wise old wrestler named Rick Connors told me at 16 years old, he said, young man, learn every job. You will always have a job. So I can referee, I can wrestle, I can manage, I can commentate, I can produce, I can set a ring up, I can fix a ring if it breaks, I can run cameras, I can set cameras up, I can take tickets, I can pop popcorn, I can do whatever it takes to continue to make a living in this profession, because I chose it as my life as a very young person. And rule number 1 has always been, it is everything or it's nothing. If I can't make a living at this, I won't do it. So imagine, young person that's listening to Bob's and I right now, if you can't make a living at this, why are you doing it? You're
Good
not a
point.
professional. You're a hobbyist. You're a
Mhm.
social gathering. Most independent wrestlers now, Bob, want to wrestle in their hometown on Saturday night and have people come by their jobs and pat them on the back while they're loading furniture, doing, and nothing against people that do those jobs. That's your chosen profession. God bless you. Thank you for working and making an honest living. But they want people to come by and go, hey, you did great over there Saturday night. I can't wait to see you get to Russian this week or whatever. They're
You know,
all looking for that hug.
but no, I have to say this. I was a musician too. I've always felt that you don't make it as a musician until you can always get your friends or family to come over and cheer for you. It's when you get
Yeah.
strangers to do it.
Yes.
I think it's the same way with wrestling.
Two of the proudest moments of my life. Kingsport Civic Auditorium, my hometown, the building that Ron Wright and Whitey Caldwell made famous, the historic building here in town. As a babyface, I was doing a program with Al Getz and his guys, and we get to the blow-off, which happened to be my 28th birthday, the night we're booked in the building. And I went on TV and I said, there's two things I want. One, I want to sell out for my birthday. And two, I want Al Getz. And the deal was if I won, I got 5 minutes with him in the ring. And I said, because I'd already did a stretcher job, his guys had did them, we had back and forth, big program. I said, if I do not drop him on his head and he's not carried out of that building and put in an ambulance like I was, I will never show my face on this television in an arena. I won't even go to McDonald's again. And we sold out. And to have all these people in your hometown, complete strangers,
Mhm.
when I dropped him on his head, instantly, before I'm back to my feet, they started chanting one more time. And I'm standing in the middle of that building, listening to all of these people in my hometown one more time. 1 year to the day later, I sold it out again as a heel against Jimmy Golden in a loser leave town match. And when he beat me and I'm on my knees, blood pouring down my face, the entire building started chanting, na, 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 hey, hey, goodbye. Those were the two nights where I said, I've made it. I have achieved the first person and the only person since to sell out this building since Ron Wright and Whitey Caldwell. And I hold the record at the Armory in Kingsport, which was a secondary building. When they couldn't do the Civic, they would go to the Armory. It's no longer there. It's tore down. We're in the new Armory down the street from it. But I hold the record there with me and KC against the Batten Twins in a loser leave town match. Anybody, like you said, anybody can get friends, family, whatever to come. But when you get people that get so invested in what you're doing that they come and spend their money and they sit there and they, one more time or hey, hey, goodbye. You've got them right here in your hand. You're manipulating their thoughts, their mind. They're weak because they're sitting to watch the TV. They're coming to the matches. And that's exactly, Bob, what our heroes did to us.
That's
And
exactly right.
I'm so blessed to have worked with so many of those people and learned from so many of those people. But I've been on TV all through the Appalachian region here, which is my home region, and I've did a lot of work for a lot of charities here. It never gets old to me to stop at a store in the middle of the night on the way home, to take a pee break and get a Gatorade. And somebody go, hey, Beau James, or the person behind the counter go, what's happening, King? Or
Yeah.
they know who I am. And I've never taken that for granted. Bob, I just posted a picture. I post it ever so often, but I just posted it the other day. And when you drop this, I'll post it again. But I have a picture that was taken by a photographer from the Los Angeles Times when they came here to do a story on Daniel Richards and I. And it's me at the merchandise table in a little bitty mountain town in eastern Kentucky. And there's a line of kids waiting to get a signed picture or take a picture with me. I have never forgot what it felt like to be that kid on the other side of the table.
Mm-hmm.
I have never forgot what it felt like to be that kid at ringside when the bad guy that you can't stand gets beat by your hero and how they explode. I have a very simple formula when I'm a heel booking is I get my heat on TV, but we go to towns and I get beat every night. And my favorite thing in the ring to do as a bad guy that's got this heat, as soon as the baby face rolls off of me, sit up selling just so I can see the kids at ringside cheering or the old woman with the pocketbook or whoever, because I know I've made their week. Here's this guy that we despise and we watch on TV, but he has came to our hometown and we get to rub it right in his face right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big thing that is helping independent wrestling right now. You can't afford to take your family to a wrestling show of a major promotion now.
It's even a house show. It's amazing now how
Yeah.
expensive it is. It's crazy. Concerts too. Everything is like
Yes,
tripled in 2
everything.
years. Everything.
We mentioned him early, Steve Carino, a dear friend for many years. And Steve's first program in wrestling was against me in the Carolinas. I walked into an armory one night and they said, "Hey, you're with the skinny kid over there for the next few months." And I said, "Okay." So I walk over. Steve and I are the same age. He actually may be a little bit older than me, but he started at like 19 or 20. I've already been in the ring for 5 years and already been working with half of that list that you just named off. So I loved working with Steve Carino, and Steve's just such a good guy. He's just such a good person. So I tell you all that to say NXT was not far away, and Steve is producer for NXT and works at the PC, and everybody knows that knows about Steve now. So I took Waylon and my wife. We went to see NXT because I'd seen Steve at WrestleCade, and he said, "Hey, we're going to be in Greensboro. Greensboro's only like 3 hours from here." He's like, "Bring Waylon if you can." So I got Waylon as soon as he got out of school, and we took off and went over there. And of course, we have the passes and get in the back. I don't know what ticket prices are, but I'll say this: I found out what they were later. They're high.
Yeah. I mean,
but they're not as high as a regular main roster WWE, event. But there was a lot of families at NXT. There were a lot of kids there. And after I saw what the ticket prices were after we left, I thought, man, that is such a strain for a mom and dad to take their 2 kids.
it is. It's crazy.
And you add on parking and you add on concessions,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to want some kind of merchandise. I mean, you're literally spending hundreds of dollars to take a family, and here's I had this discussion in the locker room the other night. Guys were talking about that, and I said eventually that bubble's going to burst.
It has to. It's I looked up WrestleMania tickets, and it's frankly obscene. It's obscene.
Yeah.
Like it's like not even floor seats, but like the next deck up for $1,700 a piece. Are you kidding me? And then there's a fee. Then they have the gall, and this isn't even the wrestling companies, but the ticket companies charge you more as a ticket fee the more the ticket is. But the fee should be the same for all tickets because there's only so much to do to process it.
Yeah.
So that's a complete gouge. Like for that, it was over $1,700 for the fee. And I'm like, we've lost our way. Everything is cockeyed now. Everything's crazy. So no, I'm with you about prices, and I hear it all the time. And I went to an NWA show with Joe Puccio here back in August. I think we paid, I don't know, $75 for ringside, second row. And I was like, I'm happy with that. That's about, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fair. And speaking of the NWA, because I have to wrap this up pretty soon, I saw your new wife Judy Lee Taylor compete
Yeah.
on that card. Congratulations on your nuptials. I think it's
Thank you.
wonderful. How are things going? You must be a happy guy.
Very happy. Our marriage, our courtship, our beginning flirtation is proof that kayfabe is still alive
Now you're gonna have to explain that.
because no one knew.
Oh, okay. All right.
We kept it secret, and we were a few weeks in, and I have a core little group of guys, 5 guys that I travel with. Very rarely do all 5 of us travel together. Usually it's like 3 of us together, sometimes 4. So we're on our way to a town, and I said, all right, we're going to have a discussion here, fellas. So I told them, and I said, if it gets out of this car, I'll kill you dead. It's just, I don't want anybody to know until we know where this is going. I don't want this and that. So she starts traveling with a couple of us. We were even kayfabing, like we wouldn't go in the building together. We would separate all business in the building, So when we got married, we're leaving, and I said, hey, put your hand on mine. We had the rings on. I said, take a picture. I wanted the picture for myself. So she goes, I'm going to post that. And I said, when? She goes, right now. And I'm like, well, as soon as you post it, turn your phone off because I'm turning mine off.
Yeah.
So she does. So the next morning, she comes in and says, you really know everybody. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, if you not look, I'd forgot I'd turned my phone off. And she's like, all the comments and this and that. So I get on and look, it's crazy. But it was a complete shock. My family met her 4 weeks before, 5 weeks before. My nephew Jake, which is Waylon's dad, they live next door. I told Jake when we first started seeing each other seriously, and I said, I want her to meet Waylon. He's like mine.
Right.
He will tell everybody, Jake is my dad, but I'm Uncle Beau's boy. I mean, he just tells you that. So first day they were together, him and Judy Lee hit it off, and they love each other. They're ribbing each other. He likes to hide and jump out and scare her. So he comes in after we get married. He was at his mom's. He came back, and I said, Waylon, I have something to tell you. And he goes, what is it? I said, Judy Lee and I are not boyfriend and girlfriend no more. And he goes, what's that mean? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, she's my wife. And he was so excited and so happy. And, he just loves it. But some people in the wrestling business were not very happy with it.
Well, why would they have an opinion one way or another? It's strange to me. What was wrong?
Because they were all sliding in her DMs.
Oh, I should know better. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. The shock of them finding out that, oh gosh, she has had a boyfriend this whole time, and now they're married, and oh man. And he's the guy that books me. He's the guy that produces my matches, which I knew all about it because we laugh about it, before. I was like, they don't know, a couple of them from other places, not here, were not the nicest about it. Some of them was kind of cute. Because I'm thinking like, man, if that's their game, no wonder they don't have anybody, She works hard. She loves the wrestling business. And she will tell you the same as I tell you. The first day that we met each other and we locked eyes, it was sealed. But we both ran as far away from each other as we possibly could because we're like, I don't want a relationship in this business.
Yeah, I get that too.
But it couldn't stop. It just kept coming back and okay, let's try this. Okay, this is working. Okay, this is great. And I'm happy as I can be for her. I was happy when she got the NWA stuff. She's got some other stuff going on. She's did some other stuff here that I can't talk about. It's great. Wrestling is the family business, and she fits right in with the family. So
I I've seen her with my own eyes. She's good.
yeah,
And I saw her, you said she had less than 50 matches. She looks good to
yeah,
me. I think she's got a real future, and, well done. I don't know what else to say to you other than I wish you both a lot of happiness, and please give her our
yeah.
regards here because it's like
That's
I was in the second row watching a wild 8-person tag team match that she was part of, and these
yeah.
people were throwing each other all over the place. It was wild. She probably told you all about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I watched, she told me about it, and then I watched it after it aired, and I was like, "My gosh, that's insanity."
It was. It
Yeah,
was it
that's
was easily the wildest thing on the card that I saw, no question about it.
hey, before we wrap, Bob, I wanna go back to my promotion real fast because
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
real
ask you to do that anyway, so please let the people know
okay.
how, when, and I'll tell you what, the next time I see you, this is gonna sound goofy, but I mean this, I hope it's in Tennessee. I hope I'm sitting in your arena watching your show, and I really wanna get out there and check it out because
Yeah,
I love what you're doing, and I think more people need to know about it. So tell people how they can see it, how they can get involved, anything you wanna talk about.
we dropped a new our program is called Legacy because when we went back to doing weekly programming, I realized that we were just past the 30-year mark, 31 years. And I said, this truly is my legacy of creating young talent and keeping this going this long. So new episodes drop every Thursday. Matter of fact, we're recording on a Thursday. When I get done, I got to upload this week's program, but you can watch it on YouTube, Southern States Wrestling, or go to southernstateswrestling.com. I also share it on SSW Facebook, and then X and Instagram. We are SSW Wrestling and the number one. Here's some facts about our promotion: 35 years in existence, hundreds of live events. I need someday to sit down and count exactly how many. It may be in the thousands now, because my gosh, in the 90s, you working at the magazine, we were running all the time.
Yeah, you were.
Hundreds and hundreds of original first round broadcast TV programs and streaming programs now. We have ran Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Dakota, Wyoming, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. We've ran events in those states, and in 2026, we're expanding to a new state that we've never touched before because I'm a 2-state resident now. And I make the trip every other week, so why should I not get paid for it?
Mhm.
But the biggest thing that I'm very proud of this 35 years, this continuous nonstop running, one owner, me. It is the family business. My nieces, my nephews, my mother, my father, my sisters have all been involved. I've had wife wrestling, cousins wrestling, or refereeing, but it was my vision at 16 years old, and it became bigger than I ever thought. Edge, Christian, Abyss, Jillian Hall, Andy Douglas, Chase Stevens, Easy Money, Kid Cash, and I'm sure I'm missing a few, but all worked here early
Mhm.
in their career.
Mhm.
I have kids now, 35 years later, getting looked at by the big promotions. I have agents coming to our events a couple times a year and looking. I have them watching our programming and telling me, hey, I really like this kid. Tell him to do this or that, and we'll keep looking at him or her. It's a passion. For many years, it's the only reason I got out of bed. Even though I'm still booked other places and still going other places and still doing other things, this was my passion. Then it got after around that 25-year mark or 20-year mark, I'm like, man, I'm burnt. I'm beat to death. I'm wore out. I'm exhausted. And I started to scale it back. And then here in the last few years, I've started to really put the fire to it again. My years in the ring, I have a few ahead of me, but most of them are behind me, and I don't wrestle nearly as much, but I'm there molding and teaching and showing and helping. I want to be an ambassador to this business and keep going and keep growing. People have asked me all along, well, what happens if something happens to you? I want this to continue to go. I don't want it to stop, and not just for me in my life's work, but I want it to go for wonderful people like Al Bass and Crunch the Equalizer and my mother and Ken Bowles, who were all Tracy Smothers, Mike DiMuzio. These were all people that were a key part of this in the early days and put a lot of effort into it that are no longer with us. And it's their memory. The saddest day of my year every year and the happiest day of my year are the same day every year. That's the anniversary. And that will be the last Friday night in February. I think it's the 27th, Mount Carmel, Tennessee, Armed Forces Reserve Center. But we read the list of people that have passed away that wrestled for us or worked behind the scene. And Bob, it's 40 some people now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that list grows every year, but those memories need to be shown. That's why we put a lot of classic stuff up on our YouTube also. Those names need to be spoken because they're not just there's a lot of people like Junkyard Dog, Sherry Martell, Tracy Smothers, Mongolian Stomper. These are big legendary names, but they were a key part of this promotion at some point in time. And they're a special part of my life to where I want their names spoken and I want their memories and their lives to be remembered. And I got to be in the ring with them. I got to share the dressing room with them. I got to travel with them. They may just be names that people know or people they saw on television. They're a part of my life that I don't ever want to forget. And that's what keeps me motivated now in doing what we're doing is to keep the legacy alive, keep the history alive, but teaching and showing young kids this is what you have to do. It's because I believe in you and I want to make you better. Why did you do that? You could have did this. Why did you take that bump for no reason? I had a kid take a backdrop on the floor last year, and it was one of the most sickening sounds I have ever heard. And I said, don't you ever do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that same thing, big house. Oh, I want that pop.
Right.
Was that 5-10 seconds of ooh, ah, ha, ha, yay, worth the pain that you felt for the next ever how many days?
And, it's true. It's like you may not even feel it that much then. Wait a week, right?
Yeah.
Wait a week, man. It'll creep up on you,
Yeah.
right?
And,
you know it.
Or wait 10 years. KC Thunder, my cousin that was my partner for so many years, KC, his hips and knees are shot because he would take all those big bumps and stuff. He's there now telling these young kids, look at me. You don't want to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I stand up and walk across the room, I tell all the young guys, you may look like that now, but I'm your future.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well,
but we have been so blessed to do what we've done, and I love it. And a lot of credit goes to you and to Bill Apter and to Brandy Makowitz for all the press that you guys gave me and my crew through the years.
you earned that press. It's not like we were doing a charity thing. We wanted to cover what you were doing because you were as active as any organization there was when I was with the magazines, and you probably got even more busy when I left. So, it's like you deserve your spot. You earned that spot. It's not like we gave you anything. It's like you deserved it.
I appreciate you saying that. Bill Apter told me the same thing last time.
That sounds like Bill. Yeah.
The last time I spoke to him, I love this business. I'm passionate about it still all these years later. But yet there's still days where I'm like, okay, this is a non-wrestling day.
Mm-hmm.
We had a rare Saturday during the holidays home. And I told Judy Lee, don't mention wrestling. Don't turn it on. We're going to watch football. We're going to, have a meal. And this is a non-wrestling day.
Hey, listen, I love ice cream, but can't eat it 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Right. All right. This is, folks, the king of Kingsport, a name he earned. He is from Southern States Wrestling in Tennessee. You've heard all about it now. I want you to all go check it out. It's Beau James, a legitimate regional legend in my eyes, because who's been around longer, who's done more. And thanks for keeping that good old-fashioned wrestling spirit alive. We need more people like you in the business right now. We really do.
I thank you for those words, and I will agree. We need more people to keep alive what once was.
Exactly right. I mean, anybody can start a wrestling organization, but you need the knowledge base, and you got it.
Yeah.
So in any event, Bo, thanks again. I'll see you soon, all right?
Thank you. Yes.
Attention, Gen Xers. If you'd like to explore the era that appeals to you, look no further than GenerationXWire.com. The generation who grew up with elite in entertainment, music, movies, TV, books, pro wrestling, and more finally has a one-stop destination for all their Gen X needs. From Aerosmith to Batman to the Killer Bees to the Twilight Zone, there's something for everybody at GenerationXWire.com. You won't find a more eclectic mix of pop culture content than at the leading website that specializes in the greatest generation, GenerationXWire.com. Check it out today. Well, that puts a capper on another one. We want to thank Beau James for all his recent success, good luck, and everything else. Couldn't happen to a better guy. And I'll tell you what, a credit to the business, Beau James. Write to us, outdatedwrestling@gmail.com. Our website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. All of our episodes are there at the click a button. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot financially, but I don't want to have people pay for old episodes. They should be there for everyone to discover the show and hopefully listen to the future episodes. I'll find out another way to make money somehow. But in any event, that's my philosophy, at least right now. We also have another podcast called The Outdated Entertainment Hour. Check that out if you could as well. The Outdated Wrestling Hour is a member of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Thank everybody there. Social media, Facebook is my main jam. The main page, you can see me singing with the great B.B. King. I have other photos of that. Maybe I should swap that one out for another one, but that's the most famous one. It's from the B.B. King Blues Club in New York City, New York. I'm also I'm either outdated_Bob or Bob Smith for every other social media. If there's something I'm missing, I really don't know what it is. So I wish I could find something new I would find interesting, but if you can name them, I'm there. So type in Bob Smith. I use the same publicity photo, this ancient publicity photo I use. It's on every site. I think if I put up a new publicity photo, everybody would scream and run, particularly the ladies. So I better just stick with one where I look almost human. So that's it for now. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you, Joe Puccio. Thank you, Beau James. Thank you, all of you, for listening. We will be back next Friday as we get placed spot by spot on all the podcast apps. So until then, my name is Bob Smith, and in the words of Ringo Starr, the legendary rocker, peace and love, brothers and sisters. Peace and love.